I love this name, by the way. Dokken Mokken. That's hilarious. I don't know why I love it, but Dokken Mokken, I love your sign on. It says, Phil, we spoke about Epiphone reaching at Fender player price range. How about the new Epiphone reached Fender American Performer and average latest releases? Okay, so let's take a look at that. This is an early question, so let's cue this up. We'll talk about this. This was a hot topic for the last week. I think everybody thought I was going to talk about it last week. Saw a lot of video titles, a lot of videos talking about the prices of Epiphones. In fact, I saw a lot of channels, smaller channels that I'd never seen before, and so I actually subscribed to a bunch of smaller channels because they were talking about the stuff, and they just came in my feed, obviously, from this. So if you don't know what we're talking about the Epiphone-ageddon, get in. That's my effect I just made. Okay, so what is that? It's the, holy crap, look what they're asking for Epiphones now. $16.99. Yeah, $12.99 for the Dave Grohl made in China. What? It's $12.99 for this Epiphone Firebird. This is crazy. $1,000, $12.99 for a Kirk Hammett Purple V. This is insane. It's not insane for me. Here's why. Because I talked about this years ago. I said this was exactly what I saw the industry focusing on from the interviews of the industry itself. It's sometimes I can't even say if you watched all my interview videos, you would come to the same conclusions as me, because one thing that sucks about doing interviews, and I don't care what anybody says, because this is absolutely accurate to everybody I've ever met and talked to, is there is a before and after conversations on those interviews that are never in the interviews, that are always a little bit, well, let's just say that's the part you probably wanted to hear. And that's just the downfall. If you want to interview people, they're going to tell you, they're going to say things off the record, and you can't say anything, but you happen to be aware of these things. And I do my best to put as many things on the record as possible. When I say do my best, I mean, advocate for that. Case in point, just recently when I did the Kiesel walkthrough, the factory tour, that factory tour is one continuous shot with no edits. Nothing was taken out of the entire tour. However, the reason I got that tour is because I did all my tours, all my interviews are the same way done. They have the option to have me remove things that they want removed. And I do that because I know they'll be more candid, and I know that they cannot, which is stupid for me to say out loud because some of them are watching and they'll know for future interviews. I know they'll never pick all the things, So if I say, instead of them telling me, they'll only let me film this, or they're only going to talk about this, I say, let's just film and talk about everything. I won't release anything unless you approve it. We'll be fine. And what I learned is, even though they always have me remove stuff or cut stuff out, or want something pushed out, they never get all the things. So I always feel like I got you guys more than what I would have got if I would have went in first, edited. What's great about the Kiesel thing is Jeff, in the middle of the tour, said, if you just want to put this out, just put it out. I don't know why he said that, but you can see him say it in the video. He just says, when are you going to put this out? And I said, I don't know, whenever you say. And then he's like, you know what, just put it out. And so I put it out as a one continuous shot, because I never been allowed to do that before. No one's ever let me have the whole thing. There's always something that they want removed, or something that they want to look at to see if they see it in the background. However, in that case, we did not go into a certain area of his factory, which was pickups. And he said that in the video, he says, I don't want to film that because I don't want the recipes on the wall to be, photoed. This goes back to what I'm saying about these insane prices for these import guitars. The whole mission of the industry is to get us to pay what you're paying now, whatever you think premium priced guitars are. Here's why I say this. And I know I'm kind of getting sidetracked, but I need you to focus on what I'm about to tell you. Every company, when I say every, 9 out of 10, okay, every major company cannot help but tell me or somebody in the background about Apple. How much Apple gets to charge for a phone and a computer, and how people will pay $2,000 for a China-made Epiphone, or a Apple. Sorry, Freudian slip. Anyways, they will pay $40 for an Apple dongle, right? They will pay, even though that stuff is marked up to no end. And whether you like Apple or don't like Apple, which is, I'm in the both camps. I buy Apple and I hate it, but I buy it because for me and my family, it functions for what I need and my circumstances. But my point is that they covet it. They covet the fact that Apple can make so much money with basically cheap labor. And they covet it to the point where you can see, no matter what they say, that what they do always seems to go towards that. How can they get $1,500 for a made in China, iPad, right? They want that. And every movement goes towards that. The only difference is they have a weapon that no one's really ever had before, which is what I say all the time, which is Gibson. And I'm picking on Gibson Epiphone just because Epiphone brought this up. I don't want to isolate them. Don't go on a whole Gibson Epiphone tirade in the comments. This is every company I've said, and the only exceptions to these companies are the ones I've told you before. The ones that don't double dip, the ones that don't do both, okay? So if you want to leave some companies out of this, I'll say right now, it's going to be Sir, it's going to be Tom Anderson, it's going to be Kiesel, Rickenbacker. It's going to be companies that are USA built only, or more importantly, for those people who are like, don't want me to be pro USA all the time, even though I can't help it because I am. It is one factory controlled by them all the time, their factory. The point is that Gibson can entice you to buy Epiphone. Fender can entice you to buy Squier. PRS can entice you to buy PRS SE because they control the thing you want, which is the unobtainium, the expensive guitar, and then they can flow you down into the guitar they really want you to buy. And this is one of those things where this comes up all the time, and I keep saying it, and then we keep coming back to here as a community on the show, like, hey, did you see what they're doing now? Squires are blah, blah, blah. Look at the prices. And I'm like, yes, and I appreciate the questions and the subjects because it's an interesting discussion. However, it's exactly back to the first discussions we had years ago where I said, of course, right? Of course, they want you to pay $1,500, and you don't have to be educated in the industry. You don't have to be a guitar builder. You don't have to know anything to know that you can go on the internet right now. And as much as I look, I am a massive Foo Fighters is one of the best bands I've ever seen live. Dave Grohl is probably one of the coolest guys on the planet when it comes to, I watch almost every interview with him. I just like the guy. Okay. But it's not hard to figure out. Look, I understand he's Dave Grohl, and he's no different than Kirk Hammett and all these other guys. He gets obviously a command of price because of his name, and the guitar is amazing. Okay, I'm in love with this guitar, but $1,299. It's not that I don't think it's worth that. I never talk in that language. Worth. What I will tell you as a value proposition, I can find you a guitar, this exact specification with this exact paint job, made in that same country, China, in a very like factory for half. And half is because I just want to be lazy and I just want to win the argument. I could probably find that same guitar for $300. Okay, but realistically, I can find it for $650, no problem, not even trying. And I hate picking on that one, but it's not. I'm not saying it's not worth $1,299. Look, I'm a huge Dave Grohl fan. I'm an Epiphone fan. I'm a Gibson fan. I can be just as susceptible as you guys to buying a guitar. However, we know what they want. They want the import guitars to win because that's where the money is. I have heard so many manufacturers tell me, the owners of these companies, the CEOs tell me if they were smart, they would just do the imports. And I think I said this, and if I haven't, I maybe should have said it. One of the things that happened the first time I ever met Jeff Kiesel, the first time I ever really met him. I met him for a brief second at the NAMM show, but believe it or not, the first time I ever met Jeff Kiesel was when I went to his factory to do my signature guitar. Okay? Because I didn't deal with Jeff, as I've said many times. I deal with Brandon, who's awesome at Kiesel. And so obviously, and in all reference, I had met Jeff like just moments before we did the factory tour. Okay. So that all being said, not the first thing he said to me, not the first question, but I would say in the first one or two questions, few minutes, he said to me, he said, what do you think about us doing an import line, a Kiesel import guitar? And I said, I think that's a horrible idea. And he goes, cool. Why? Because he goes, that's the opposite of what everybody else tells me. It's weird that he asked me. I don't know why he asked me. I think he was just curious because he always, he says, everyone always tells me Kiesel should do an import line. And I said, well, let me just tell you this way. I'm sure You asked me if I think you should do an import line. I said no. You didn't ask me if it's smart to do one. Oh yeah, you'd make a crap ton of money. If you made a Delos or if you made a Kiesel guitar for $799 in Indonesia, you'd kill. However, I said, I'm going to tell you as someone who's interviewed all you guys and been to your factories and been to your facilities of all these builders. As soon as you go import, you're going to make so much money from that. You're not going to want to do this. And that's going to suck. And that's why I said you shouldn't do it, because I don't want you to do it. And I said, and it's already filled. There's so many already great guitars out there. There are a plethora of guitars that are amazing that I could buy and everybody else could buy. Let them buy those. But a unique custom guitar still made in the USA, it's a rarity now. And for those that want it, you want it. And so that's back to that Epiphone thing. That's why. So the fact that everybody's shocked that the Epiphone is now in the price point of USA Fenders almost, I'm not shocked about any of that stuff. I'm not shocked. In fact, the day they tell me a Squire is $1,500, I won't be shocked then. The day they tell me a Paul Reed Smith SE is $2,000, not even going to be remotely shocked, as I think that's been the agenda for a decade. And if anything, I bet you if you could honestly get a lot of those people that are in control of the marketing people, the salespeople, the ownership of a lot of companies, they tell you they're behind schedule. This is where they want to be. And then you could pay $10,000 for a guitar that they'll build you in 2 years if you want a USA guitar. If you want to hold on to that old dream of holding those high-end USA guitars, if that's something that's in your head, that needs to be a $10,000 2-year dream for you. So there's my tirade. All right. But on a side note, I'm absolutely in love with those new Epiphones. But it's also why I told everybody, when D'Angelico was blowing out that same color blue, man, buy those up, because those made in Indonesian guitars were fantastic, and that's why I got mine right there. But I didn't get the blue, the Pelham blue. I should have, but also, I'm happy with what I picked. If you enjoyed this podcast clip, you can watch the entire episode by clicking the link in the description or streaming it on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. You can also join it live every week, Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I hope to see you there. Until next time, know your gear.